My mother's lullaby wasn't meant for us. My mom's funeral finally ended. The last relatives left just before sunset, and by midnight the house had become unbearably quiet. It wasn't a normal quiet, it was the kind of heavy silence that settles over a home after someone dies. She'd been gone for 3 days. I was 19, sitting alone in my bedroom, staring at my phone and trying to numb my brain. Then I smelled it, warm walnut and honey pastries. My breath caught in my throat as the scent drifted through the crack beneath my bedroom door. It made no sense. Mom used to bake them every winter, and the smell was so specific, so distinct, that for a second I actually thought she was downstairs in the kitchen. The scent grew stronger until I could almost hear the walnuts crackling in the pan and her faint humming. My eyes filled with tears, and before I knew it, I was opening my door and stepping out into the dark hallway. That's when I saw my dad putting on his heavy coat. He's an ER doctor, and the hospital had just called him in for an emergency. He looked absolutely exhausted, dead on his feet. For a second, I wanted to beg him to stay, but instead, he just kissed the top of my head and whispered, "Keep an eye on your brother." Then he left. A few moments later, his car pulled out of the driveway and disappeared into the night, leaving the house feeling even emptier. I walked to my twin brother's room and pushed the door open. He was fast asleep, his phone resting on the nightstand, playing one of those Rain and Forest tracks he always used to drown out the silence. I quietly closed the door. Then I froze. My parents' bedroom door was cracked open just a few inches. In the dark, I thought I saw someone standing there, perfectly still, watching me. End of part 1. My mother's lullaby wasn't meant for us. I couldn't see a face or a body, and I couldn't even tell if it was a man or a woman, but someone was in there. I knew it. My throat went completely dry. I reached for the hallway switch and flicked it, flooding the space with light. Nothing. The doorway was empty. I stood there for a few seconds before forcing my feet to move, eventually pushing the door open to walk into my parents' room. Everything looked normal, the bed, the dresser, the family photos on the wall. To clear my head, I opened my mom's closet. The smell of her perfume was still heavy on her clothes, and that completely broke me. I buried my face in her dresses and just started crying. I don't know how long I stood there, a minute or maybe 10, until my elbow hit something solid in the back corner. I pulled back and found a leather box hidden behind a row of coats. It was locked. Normally, I wouldn't have messed with it, but I'd spent part of my teenage years being a very different person than the daughter my parents thought they knew. I grabbed a metal hairpin from my hair, and 3 minutes later, the lock clicked open. The moment I lifted the lid, a chill hit the room. Inside was a heavily damaged statue, its features so worn away by time that I couldn't even tell what it was supposed to be, which somehow made it worse. Next to it were 2 baby binkies, an old photo of my brother and me as infants, and underneath everything else, an unlabeled VHS tape. No writing, nothing. I carried it downstairs to the old TV in the living room. The tape hissed as I pushed it in, and static filled the screen before the image flickered on. End of part 2. My mother's lullaby wasn't meant for us. It was my mom holding the camera, walking through our house at night, quietly humming to herself. She sounded happy and normal. The camera moved down the hallway until she reached her bedroom and pushed the door open. My dad was fast asleep. Mom walked up to him, gently kissed his forehead, and whispered, "Sleep well, my dear husband." She watched him for a few seconds before leaving the room. The camera turned back to the hallway, moving toward the nursery. The door opened. Inside the dark room, there was a single large crib where my twin brother and I slept side by side. Mom sat down right next to it, pointing the camera down at our faces. Her free hand reached into the frame, gently pulling up the blanket. "My little angels," she whispered. "You are so beautiful." She watched us for a few seconds. Then she started singing. "Sleep now, the evening's here, and shadows fill the room. Pan walks softly by your bed beneath the silver moon. The night whispers sweet to a mother's desire, while Pan plays his pipe by a flickering fire. Little ones, don't be afraid, his tall horn watches tight. Pan's crimson eye guards your dreams until the morning light." Sleep now, for the wind has come to steal the candles bright. She stopped singing and stroked my cheek. Then she looked past the lens. Thank you, Pan. End of part 3. My mother's lullaby wasn't meant for us. A strange wave of unease crept over me, leaving me wondering who Pan even was. The tape went dead silent. A few seconds passed, and then a hand reached out from the shadow behind the crib. It was huge, covered in dark hair, and completely wrong. Its fingers slowly brushed across my brother's hand. I knocked my chair over, jumping to my feet. I lunged at the TV and slammed the power button. The screen went black. Total silence. I stood there breathing hard, staring at my reflection in the dark glass. Someone was standing a few feet behind me. It was my mom. She was just standing there in her old house dress, hands folded, smiling. It was the same soft smile she used to give me whenever I woke up from a nightmare as a kid. Then her smile stretched wider. And for the first time in my life, I wished I hadn't seen her.